It's the ninth month, Suepter.
I mean, it's Suepter, man. It's Suepter. We're ready. Let's go ahead and do this thing then, huh?
Oh, yeah, sounds good. Let's go.
No, it's back. Give it to the quarterback. No, we got the running back. What? Straight off the couch. Here are the stories we're going to be chasing today.
That's right, boys and girls. It's September 3rd. Adam and I, we're going to preview the regular season. So let me bring in my broadcast partner, the ever affable and effervescent Adam Weidel. Adam, what's going on, brother?
We're back, baby. After a couple months off, I guess we finished with our draft episode and concluded our season 1. Now we're into our official first full season, season 2. We're not just doing playoffs. We're going to cover the entire season this year, and what better way to do it than leading up to week 1?
And I think for the boys and girls, what Adam and I talked about is we're not going to talk about every freaking game. That'd take too long, and we would drive everybody crazy. So we're going to hit the 4 main ones. We're going to hit like Thursday night football, Monday night football, Sunday night football, and the not the prime time, but the late afternoon game on Sunday.
Or whatever game is the most exciting. If there's something in the early window or something in the late window that, just blows our minds and, you need to hear about it, we're going to talk about that. But I think,
right.
we're going to focus on the main primetime games and definitely kind of give a quick overview of what teams are doing on Sunday, because I mean that's a huge number of games. There's like 12 games on Sunday.
Yeah, and we're gonna maybe discuss where somebody sit in the rankings. Where
yeah, we'll talk about rankings, or if there's something drastic that happens in a league, like player trades, that sort of stuff. But we're not going to go over every game
because you don't want to hear that shit, and we don't want to talk about it.
And then some of them are just going to wait for their team. And it's funny that you said this, Terry. So a couple of people that I've talked to and kind of latched onto our podcast, they're just like, when does the season start? Because I want to follow the season this year. And I'm like, it's funny you mention that. I'll drop a link tomorrow.
Because we're more or less we're 48 hours away from the season.
Yeah, so we're recording right now. It's Tuesday evening, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 in Chicagoland, I like to call it, the Midwest. So
I like to call it the center of the universe. You can call it what you want.
The center of the universe. I mean, Toronto. I think Toronto people call us the center of the universe, but we're dropping this episode either, depending on how long it takes, either late tonight or early tomorrow. So you're gonna have 2 days to be able to listen to it before kickoff on Thursday night at 8:20 p.m. Eastern time.
So Adam and I, as we were talking, decided we're going to talk about 3 things that we're going to keep an eye on this season rather than break down every team and every division and all that stuff. You can find all that information someplace else. We wanted to bring something unique, and that unique stuff is our 3 things. So without further ado, Adam, what are your 3 things? What are you going to be watching this season?
So I think everybody's going to be watching, but we're definitely keeping our eyes on the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the big story right now is, can they three-peat?
The only thing I've heard is they're going to get bored. That's the only downside I've heard, because they got their defense was one of the best in the league last year. They
still are, actually. They re-signed a bunch of people, and they look like they could be a good team on paper, but we don't know. Injuries happen, things happen, players get traded.
Right. On paper, though, they still look like they're going to be a top 5 defense.
They look like they're going to be a top 2 team, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can they three-peat? So that's a storyline that we're going to follow this season. We have 22 weeks to follow it. Now, speaking of the Chiefs, can the Buffalo Bills get the monkey off their back? They've dominated the Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season.
Yeah,
and every time they meet in the playoffs, it's bye-bye Buffalo.
And
that's my other story that I'm kind of trying to follow.
Honestly, Joe Cool's the only one been able to beat Patrick Mahomes in the postseason.
And that's my third storyline. Now, they're all AFC stories, but Cincinnati, can they get the monkey off their back?
And can
actually go make a deep playoff run.
And can Joe stay healthy? Last year he had health issues, and that caused a lot of problems for the Bengals later on in the year.
That ruined their chances for sure.
Well, that's a good list, buddy. I don't know if I can top it. But
I'd like to see you go the NFC route, even though
actually
because I just basically stole the AFC from you.
Well, the first thing. See, I got Stinger music.
Oh, nice.
The first thing I'm going to be watching this year, Adam, is the rookie class of quarterbacks from this year. There was 8 or 9 in the first 10 picks were quarterbacks. So
12 picks, yeah.
12 picks.
12 picks.
So I'm going to be watching that rookie class of quarterbacks. We all know it takes 2 or 3 years for drafts to be seen and see if they were a good draft or not. But some of these rookies are going to make an immediate impact. Other than J.J. Watt, I think they're all going to have a significant amount of playing time this year. And I want to see how these rookies handle the most difficult position in professional sports.
Oh, J.J. McCarthy, you mean?
Yeah.
J.J. Watt's a defensive player.
Did I say Watt? I meant McCarthy. I said J.J. and just by reflex.
There's too many J.J.'s in the league. Every time someone says J.J., I think of Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, and you start doing the diggy. Yeah.
So... Yeah, so there's a bunch of things to look out for with different teams, and you're definitely right. The rookie class of quarterbacks, we have not seen first 10 to 12 draft picks, 75% of them being quarterbacks ever.
And I genuinely think a lot of them are going to see significant time.
I think your boy Caleb Williams is going to see some significant time, and the Chicago franchise has done a really fantastic job on paper. As well, everything is on paper, by the way, folks, because we don't know. Like, we've watched some preseason games. There was only 3 weeks of preseason this year. We got kind of like ideas of what players could do, but a lot of the time it was like, 4th-string, 3rd-string players going up against each other to see who got a position on the team. So we don't really know the full dynamic of these teams yet. I don't. Very few teams take the preseason seriously other than just checking out the bottom end of their roster. That's about all they do. First month, I just call it growing pains because we don't know what these teams are really made of at this point. And the next thing I'm going to be watching... Man, you got samples for everything that you're watching. Man, I got to get like a little sample board here or whatever. The new kickoff rules. I'm really curious to see how creative the coaching staff is going to get with this new kickoff rule. So I was very excited to watch the new kickoff rule in preseason, but nobody's going to give anything away. They're just kind of just doing the dance at this point. Yeah, but there's so much potential for creative stuff. Somebody's got some like evil plan in the back of their mind on like how they can exploit the new kickoff rule. And we don't know what it is yet because all we saw was, everybody lined up at like the 35 and 45 yard line. It got kicked into the like between the 20 and the touchdown area. A guy would run it back. He'd get maybe to the 40-yard line. I was going to say, I think 35 was about the average. Yeah. You know who's kicking himself right now? Your guy, Bill Belichick. Yeah, because he loves that special team stuff, man. And he can't. He's looking at that going, damn it, why did they wait one more year? Bill Belichick will be a coach in the league next year. You watch. I don't know. He's too busy with that hot little girlfriend of his. And the third thing. Yeah, I'm going to wear that out this year probably. As we all know. You're going to need a new sample. Yeah, as we all know, Tom Brady is going to replace Greg Olsen in the broadcast booth. He also is part of an ownership group trying to take an ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, when you hear those broadcasters talk about this week we talked to this guy, this week we talked to that guy, this week we talked to the coach, this week, they have during those game weeks, for example, let's say the Bears and Texans on week 2. So the whole week before that game, the NBC crew will be in Chicago or be in Houston, and they'll be attending practices, and they'll be talking to coaches and players and the training staff and the front office. And they have a lot of access so they can give up-to-date and valuable information about that game. Yes, they have a press week basically for all whoever's broadcasting that game. The NFL
had to come down with a ruling if Tom becomes part owner in the Raiders. Because a lot of coaches don't like the Raiders, and a lot of owners don't like the Raiders, and a lot of owners don't like Tom Brady. And they are concerned that he's going to take information he gathered during the portion of his prep for the week and send that back to the Raiders for future use. So the team came down and limited his access if the ownership thing goes through. He will not be allowed to go to any of the pregame stuff. He won't be allowed any access to practices or the training staff or the coaching staff.
I think it's fair. It's completely you have to have a completely unbiased opinion, and it has to be for the network. Like, the information you're giving is for the viewer.
Right.
It can't be for another team. That is what do we want to call that one? Broadcast gate, if that ever happened?
Well, yeah, and that's what I was just going to say was Brady does have a history of, I don't want to say cheating, but pushing the rules as far as he can.
There's been some gates.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and so is Brady going to continue to be a broadcaster at that point in time, knowing he's not going to be able to deliver the full depth of the position? Or would he be gracious enough to either A, back out of the buying, or B, back out of the broadcast and let Greg Olson do the job? Because Greg Olson did a fantastic job last year.
Well, my hot take on that is I think Tommy's got his finger in too many pies. And don't get me wrong, love the guy. I think he for a 199th round draft pick, he excelled.
He did everything you could ask for a player ever. Yeah.
He excelled. And, the debate's out there if he is the greatest of all time or not. The guy has so many Super Bowl rings. He's done everything. He does have drive. He has his own, clothing business. He has his own medicine and sports health business. He has his finger in so many pies. And to be broadcasting with Fox for the ridiculous 10-year contract that he signed for.
Yeah, but it was for an insane amount of money. If somebody came to me and stuck
$350 million for 10 years.
Yeah, somebody stuck that contract in my face. I'm going, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
Like $35 million a year once a week.
But now he can't go to the practices. He can't talk to the player if he continues with this ownership deal.
Well, why does he want a stake in the Raiders to begin with? I don't. That's the strangest team for me, for him to want an ownership stake.
But it's not like he's wrote a check. It's an ownership group, and it's one of those, like, back in the 80s.
And he has a soccer team too.
Yeah, he has a soccer team. Yeah. But yeah, so does Ryan Reynolds. So,
I think Ryan Reynolds' soccer team's better than Tom's, to be honest.
But it's not just like he's doing it on his own. It's a group of investors going to do this. He's part of a group of investors. Back in the 80s and 90s, those types of investors groups are what changed the market globally, because they would buy, like back in the 80s and 90s, like AT&T. And then they would change the way AT&T does business, because they'd go in there and go, you're wasting money here, you're wasting money there. And they would kind of throw their weight around a little bit to make those organizations more profitable, because an investor group is about what? Making money.
Yeah, everybody wants to make their well, I mean,
Tommy
wants to get his slice of the pie because of the number of fingers he's got in them.
Absolutely. So what's going to happen when those investors, and it's not going to be the Raiders. The Raiders might be one of the first teams, but eventually a lot of the teams, if not all of them, take this because it's free money.
Yes.
And these investor groups, they're millionaires like Tom who can, sit around the coffee table talking to other millionaires going, yeah, I got a piece of the Raiders. Yeah, I got a piece of the Bills. Yeah, I got a piece of the Bears. It's about bragging rights at some point in time, but those groups, they hire somebody who's really shrewd and really good at saving money and really good at making money to make suggestions to these companies and organizations they buy a piece of to improve them, to make them more profitable.
So just to recap, your three takeaways from this year are the rookie quarterback
class, the kickoff, and what's going to happen with
the
Tom Brady.
Kickoff rule, and if Tom Brady has another gate.
Well, yeah, not necessarily. If he decides to go through with it and he loses access to all that stuff, is he going to be smart enough to go, I'm not delivering the best product I can, and would he step down?
From what I understand, it's not a matter of if he's going to go through with it. There's a holdup somewhere.
And the holdup was
there's a lot of red tape.
The holdup is probably the league offices and the other owners, because there are a lot of owners that, like I said, they don't like the Raiders and they don't like Tom Brady because he kept on so many Super Bowls.
And he keeps threatening to come out of retirement too.
Yeah,
so he's there's that.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, Jerry Jones is probably at the front of that group going, no fucking way, man, no.
Could you imagine player, broadcaster, and team owner?
Yeah.
But they're all different entities?
Yeah, that's the league had to draw a line, and I'm glad they did, but when I read it, I was like, wow, that's a pretty hard line they drew.
So this week we have 4 primetime games.
Who do we? I didn't even look that up. I'm sorry.
we
I was
have
slacking.
an AFC. We have the AFC Championship game starting Thursday night. It's a repeat. Ravens at Chiefs. So they're going to Arrowhead. And we're going to see the Ravens in their new Rise Up uniforms.
Yeah, I saw the pictures of them. They look kind of cool.
Look amazing, though.
Yeah, they look cool.
They're just like the Raven is not forward facing anymore. It's like straight on. It looks fun.
Yeah,
like, I can hardly wait to see what the rest of the uniform looks like. All I saw was the helmet.
And the Eagles for the Eagles Packers in Brazil.
So, yeah,
that Eagles uniform looks pretty cool too.
We've got Packers Eagles on Friday at 8:15
from Brazil.
From Brazil. So one thing for our casual listeners. Brazil has this rule about not wearing green because it's basically like a gang color. It incites violence, and the NFL chose the greenest 2 teams in the league
to send down there. Yeah,
They
might as well just send a fucking leprechaun and get it over with.
So we're having our first international game of the year in a country that doesn't like green with the 2 greenest teams. So I saw the Eagles uniforms. They look like they're doing a black and white kind of vibe. They're going with their. I haven't seen the Packers uniforms, but I'm expecting them to be yellow.
No, they're all green, tops and bottoms.
No.
Yes, tops and bottoms green.
Oh my God.
yeah. They were like because they're Wisconsin. They were like fuck it, and they leaned into the green.
Oh my. Okay, so when we come back next week, we will tell you about the possible casualties that happened from the Packers-Eagles game.
The gangland slayings
from the
in
gang
Brazil.
violence. Because, I don't expect, I've seen, remember what they did to that goaltender that let the last goal in the soccer game 10 years ago? They hung him.
Yeah.
They lynched him and hung him.
Yeah. No, they take that really seriously.
They take their sports really seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Green Bay's going in full green tops and bottoms, eh?
Oh yeah, they really did. I mean,
I didn't see their unis, but Eagles, I saw their unis and I was like, I wonder what they're going to do here. I'm liking that they went with the black and white.
That bad.
Was Wisconsin really that bad? Yes, it was.
So that's our Friday night, and then we got a Sunday night game, which is crazy. Rams at Lions, what a way to start the season.
That's going to be a good one. I really think because the Rams is the quarterback going to stay healthy for the Rams? That's huge. I
mean, that's your big NFC, divisional game last year.
Yeah, those are the 2.
And it was like the first time that the 2 quarterbacks that got traded for one another faced each other in a playoff game.
And
Detroit, they're going to just repeat it.
Yeah, Detroit just manhandled it. But Detroit was like, screw it, we're going.
Yeah.
The Lions are going to be fun to watch in general this year.
Oh, the Lions, I mean, they've come a long way.
Yeah.
In the last 3 years, they've been wow.
So what's the 4th game? What's the Monday night game?
The Monday nighter is Jets at 49ers. So are we going to see Aaron Rodgers come out with the big American flag and then take 3 snaps and die, or what's going to happen this year?
That would make me so happy.
Right? Wasn't that the big thing last year? Didn't we have a big? Wasn't they like a Thursday night game or something? They were a primetime game.
It was a primetime game, and you're right. They had him with the American flag, and he came out.
He came running out of the tunnel. Yeah, and everything was just.
The 4 snaps, and he was done for the year. That was so choice. I don't want to watch. I don't wish harm on anybody, but I hate Aaron Rodgers so much.
So those are the main games I'm watching this weekend. I mean, we have a great 1 o'clock window too. I don't think there's any divisional games this week at all. I'm just looking at the schedule real quick here. Steelers at Falcons, Cardinals at Bills, Titans at Bears, Pats at Bengals, Texans at Colts, Jags at Dolphins, Panthers at Saints, Vikings at Giants, Raiders at Chargers. That's a divisional game. Broncos at Seahawks, them boys at the Browns, Commanders at Buccaneers. So that's the rest of the list this week. So we only have one divisional game in week 1. It's Raiders-Chargers.
I think them boys, this is going to be a make or break year for Zach. I think if they don't go really, really deep, they're going to have to move on from Zach one way or another. Or Dak Prescott. Yeah.
I'm very scared that we only have one divisional game in week 1.
Why? Why is that?
Well, because every team has to play all 3 opponents 2 times in a season.
Right.
We have 17 games to do it. So,
but last season they did a lot of that after the.
One week we might just have all divisionals, and that's going to be crazy because I'm not going to be able to keep track of all that.
Yeah, but the league likes to make all those divisional things later in the season.
Yeah, so Bills, I'm a Patriots fan, so I've looked at their schedule. They're playing Miami twice at the first 5 games of the season, but they play the Bills in week 16 and 18. Which is crazy.
I'm just glad for the first time that they didn't start the year for the Bears against the Packers on primetime like they did 3 years in a row when Mitch Trubisky was the starting quarterback, and they go out and lay a goose egg on NBC, and the rest of the season is a rough go.
So I think NFL, they're looking at their ratings now. They're very, very specific about what they chose. There's a lot of rematches of playoffs last year to start primetime.
Well, that's good. Honestly, just keep it interesting, keep it fun. We're probably going to see the league flexing a lot more schedules later in the year when they have the ability to flex them.
So I believe that's after week 8 they can start flexing,
right?
Because that's when buys start, so they can start doing their flex out schedule. So if, for example, New England, which is my team, I don't really expect them to do much. They have a primetime game this year, and it's late in the season.
Right.
I expect them to get flexed out.
Right, they'll probably do something, if
because on paper right now it doesn't look great for either team, and I can't even remember who they're playing. It could be the Colts. I can't remember.
I thought it was Minnesota, and poor Sam Darnold.
Poor guy.
I mean,
the Vikings are going to Viking. They're turning into the Browns. The Browns are turning the corner, but the Vikings are just they lost. They lost Captain Kirk, and they signed JJ, not JJ. I'm going to say Justin Jefferson. They extended his contract, made him the highest paid wide receiver in the league.
Yeah,
and now he's got a guy that can't even throw to him.
No.
I don't have a lot of faith in Sam Darnold as a quarterback.
I don't either, and he has talent, he has potential, but he's
changed my mind, Sam. Changed my mind.
He's never been able to deliver when it counted. Absolutely, I'm with you on that one. So that's pretty much what we're going to watch this year, boys and girls. Anything else? Do you have a 3A or something, Adam? Or
so the big thing for me this year is just let's focus on these primetime games. Someone asked me over the weekend, hey, I'm going to get into the season. I'm going to watch a full season of football. How many games are there? And I'm like, well, every team in the league plays 17 games a year. And they all happen between Thursday and Monday, and 14 to 16 games could happen on Sunday.
yeah. Sundays can be a little hectic if you're not
used to it. If you want to watch football and you want to, just make sure that you have lots of snacks between 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. on Sunday.
Right.
If you want to catch all the games. And they were just like, no, I need a cheat sheet. I'm like, well, here's the cheat sheet. Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, and come December, sometimes Saturday night.
Yeah. And here's a pro tip from Uncle Adam and Uncle Terry, boys and girls. Pace yourself with the drinking. Sunday's a long day. If you get up and crack a beer for the first game, you got almost 12 hours of drinking in there. You know,
mix the water in once in a while. It's good.
Yeah, stay hydrated. Have a couple snacks ready. Keep your stomach full. Because otherwise, Monday morning when that alarm clock goes off, you're going to be brutal.
All right, Terry. So on paper, we've looked at all these teams on paper. We watched the draft. We've done pretty much all our due diligence, and I mean, we're like, this is the calm before the storm, in my opinion. Like, we don't know how these players are gonna perform.
Right, because
we don't know what their practices have been like. We don't know what their lineups really are, even though they had to report their starters and everything. We don't know how they're going to work together, because we saw preseason games and those lines were not together.
Right. And
so
every season has its own unique storyline, and that changes throughout the course of the year. So we're going to have to keep an eye on it. So
what is your thoughts on who is your team to watch for Super Bowl Destiny this year, and who is your dark horse team?
Oh, Super Bowl Destiny. I wouldn't call it Destiny. I think it's preordained. The Chiefs are probably going to be one of the final 4 teams, even though last year at one point in time they were 9-6. They still just put it all together for the playoff run. So the Chiefs are going to be one of those 4, I think. Everybody keeps talking about the Niners. Historically, the team that lost in the Super Bowl really, really struggles the following year.
But they've been there 4 out of the last 5 years.
Not the game.
6 years.
Not the game, but they've been in the championship games.
They've been in the championship round, the NFC Championship. Yeah. So they've been on the cusp.
So I don't know. I'd like to see them go. I like the Niners. I like what they do, but I would not be surprised if there's a little bit of a slump there. Because how many times can you get kicked in the teeth and still keep getting up? I mean, look at the Bills, for crying out loud. That'll be a fun watch, because they made some wholesale changes on the offensive side of the ball.
My hot take this year is I'm going to be watching the Bengals.
Mm-hmm. I know you like Joe Cool. Joe Cool's one of your guys.
He's just fun to watch. The guy he's got like the smoothest throw, and it's effortless. Like, he's just fun to watch.
And he looks like he's completely unfrazzled no matter what's going on.
As long as he can stay healthy. Last year he had wrist issues or whatever. He didn't play a lot of games. Bengals died.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They weren't even considered, like, I think they were on the cusp of making the playoffs on the wild card, but they had to win, and like 2 other teams had to lose, and it couldn't be a Friday, and there was a lot of things.
No, there was a lot of moving parts. There was
a lot of moving parts in that. So I think the Bengals have what it takes if Joe stays healthy, and I think he can win the AFC this year. My dark horse pick is NFC, and I'm going to be watching the Falcons.
I know I sound like a homer here, but I'll own up to it. I'm going to be watching the Bears pretty closer than usual, because I want to see what Caleb's going to do. I mean, they named him a team captain, which doesn't happen for most rookie quarterbacks.
Wow, for a rookie, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they made him a team captain yesterday, and the reports coming out, because the Bears might have broken, the what is it called? I forgot what it's called. Damn it! The show that's on HBO about the training camp.
Oh, Hard Knocks?
Hard Knocks. I think the Bears broke Hard Knocks, because there was almost no swearing on there this year. They didn't show any of the...
They're not allowed. They're not allowed to swear.
Oh, no, they are, but they didn't put it on the camera, because that's the reports coming out of Hallis Hall.
The team owner apparently has something wrong with...
No.
Doesn't like
Ginny,
foul language.
Ginny, the great George Hallis's daughter, is a very, very hardcore Christian woman, and she's in her 90s, and they produced it like they were going to show it to a woman in her 90s.
Yeah, I want to. I want a good F-bomb here and there. Like, I want it to be like Deadpool and Wolverine, where we get like 120.
And I want to go back to the days when Bill, the former Ravens coach, Bill. Oh, damn it, I can't think of his name.
Not Bill O'Brien.
No. He won the Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer as their quarterback. Bill.
Parcells?
No.
How many Bills are there?
There's a lot of Bills.
A lot of Bills, eh?
I'm going to have to look.
The Buffalo Bills?
No.
Look it up. Come on.
I'm doing that.
Have your talking points in
Bill,
order
Bill
already.
Billick.
This is a professional.
I'm sorry, not Bill. Brian Billick.
Oh, okay. I was like, how many Bills are there?
I knew Bill was in his name somewhere. But
there
remember,
was a Bill in there somewhere.
Remember when Billick was doing Hard Knocks, and he had a mirror so he could watch himself firing these guys.
What?
Yes, go look at some of it when he's cutting
What
players.
year is that? What year is hard? What?
When were the Ravens Hard Knocks? I'll have to look. But yeah, he had a mirror and he set it up and he watched himself fire.
So I can get all the back episodes of Hard Knocks. So I will see what year the Ravens are. But I want to see a guy talking to himself in a mirror.
No, it was really bad because he was.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
But yeah, Billick is just he's such an ass. He really is. I mean, he's a good coach, but he's an ass. And he had this mirror set up. It was 2001. He had this mirror set up, and he watched himself firing guys.
What?
Yeah, he had like a full length mirror. Yeah, I think it was 2001. I think.
Oh my! I got to check that out. Okay, I've got some pre-football to watch now, folks. Thanks to Uncle Terry.
Yeah, I just remember watching it because it was just like the first week it's not there, and then from second week on it was there, and you could see him. He's like checking himself out as he's firing guys. I don't want to get political here, but it reminded me of Trump when he was doing his NBC show, You're Fired, the intern. But so he had a monitor stuff so he could watch himself fire these guys. That's what it reminds me of.
You're fired.
You're fired. Yeah.
It was the greatest firing ever. Yeah.
So
I can't do a good Trump.
Excuse me, Mr. President. We need some more adjectives for you. It was great. It was awesome. It was the best firing ever.
All right, let's go with before we shut this down and then we come back next week and say how wrong we were. Let's fire off with our predictions for the week. Do you want to do all the teams or just the prime times?
Let's just do the prime times.
All right, prime time. Thursday night, Ravens at Chiefs. Who's your pick?
I'm actually going to go Ravens. I think the Chiefs are going to take it easy at first.
I'm definitely going Ravens. I think this is a revenge game.
And I know it was preseason and all, but man, their secondary looks scary. Their defensive secondary is just vicious.
They also have Derrick Henry at running back.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to put some defensive backs into the ground with that stiff arm of his. I think if King Henry is looking good as he did in the past with the Titans, I think they've got a major run game now.
That's going to take some of the heat off of Jackson too.
Yeah, well, that's their second running back, who's also their quarterback. Okay, so we're both taking Ravens on Thursday. Friday, we go to Brazil. And we have green team versus green team. It's the Eagles are actually the home team for this one. So Packers versus Eagles, who are you taking?
For future reference, anytime you ask me versus Packers, I'm going to go with the other team.
I know you're probably taking the other team.
Yeah.
But, honest opinion, do you think the Eagles have enough depth after the number of people that left that team and retirements and all that stuff, after they're just 8-week flop where they looked like the team to beat at the beginning of the season and then just didn't want to go to the playoffs?
Oh, they're going to come out.
It came in as like a 7th seed or whatever.
Yeah, they're going to come out and have a point to prove, and then in week 14 they're going to forget about the point to prove. So that's
it's like, after Thanksgiving we're full. Sorry, we're tired now. We had too much.
Yeah, they're going to take a tryptophan nap and not wake up because that's what I expect from the Eagles.
So I think the Packers take this game. Because they're building on a young team that was actually quite impressive last year.
I'm looking for a sophomore slump from Love. Honestly, seriously, I'm looking for a sophomore slump from Love.
I think the Packers take this game, and I think there's a murder in Brazil this week.
Well, let's just hope it's on the field and not like
I don't know who, but I think there's a murder. Okay, so we the 8:20 game is probably my favorite primetime game of the week. LA is coming to Detroit for a revenge game, playoff repeat of last year, the NFC Championship game, the NFC divisional game.
Divisional
Sorry.
game. And I think the Lions are going to be mad about being kicked out of and they got a lot to prove. And I think the Lions are going to come out like gangbusters this year.
I would not be surprised if half the Lions team has blue hair when they come out just to amp up the crowd.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go. Yeah. Yeah, they're
just we're making a statement because when Amon-Ra St. Brown came out with blue hair last year, the crowd went wild and people were just dyeing their hair for the playoffs and stuff.
And they're getting
back. I say this is a statement game. The Lions say, hey, you know what? You're coming into our house. You took our old quarterback. You gave us a better one in our opinion, and we've got the weapons now. I think the Lions take this game, but it's only going to be by a field goal.
See, and last year they had that first-round draft pick receiver who looked really good and got hurt and didn't finish the year, and he's healthy this year. You put the Sun God on one side and then that first-round second-year guy on the other side.
You got Puka Nacua?
Puka Nacua, yeah. I'm telling you, man.
He basically ran the league for numbers last year, so
Yeah.
I think Puka's got what it takes. This game comes down to a field goal for me, and I think the Lions take it.
Okay.
It's going to be a decision. It's going to be a Campbell fourth down. My balls are in a wheelbarrow. Let's do this shit kind of call. It's like they're going for it, folks. Lions by a field goal. And then we've got Jets at Niners for week 1 on Monday night. Who you take?
How can anybody not take the Niners? I mean, honestly, the Jets haven't proved anything for how long?
All right, so Niners, they've made some changes, and they still have Brandon Ayuk not on contract. He's his last year, and he's been holding out, and there's been rumors of him being traded. And
no, I think they
need him as a decoy, and he might not even play.
I think they came to an agreement. Let me look here real quick.
Maybe they did. Last I checked, it was like, oof, he was going somewhere else.
No, I think it was this. I think it was yesterday afternoon or this morning that they'd finally. But still, he hasn't practiced. He hasn't been in camp at all.
I think the Jets need to make a statement, not just as a team that can beat a Super Bowl contender, but to say, hey, we have a chance in the AFC East, because they've been the laughingstock of the AFC East for 20 years.
And they've had some really outstanding defenses along the way there, but they just
and they've had some bad luck.
Yeah, Jets are going to Jets, man. And I wonder how much of that is because they're in New York and that's where the league headquarters are, and let's face it, that's where all the news media.
No, they're not in New York. They're in San Francisco.
No, I mean the Jets in general. In general.
The New Jersey Jets?
Yeah, but they're right there next to the league headquarters. The Giants struggle too, because I think because they get so much attention for being where they're at geographically.
That's fair.
You know, because they're like, remember when Rodgers was traded, he goes, yeah, I want a little quieter place. The press is hounding me a little too much. Excuse me there, Mr. Rodgers. You might be going to the wrong place if you want less press.
Yeah, especially like going to New York, like that's the epicenter of press.
Or
LA, one or the other. Like go to New York or LA, and those are your two spots. Like if he wanted less press, he should have gone to, like, I don't know.
You go to Seattle.
Is Oklahoma going to get a team?
Yeah, you go to Seattle if you want less press.
Yeah, go to Seattle.
You know.
So Jets at Niners. I really can't bet against the Niners at this point.
No.
Considering they're the defending runner-up right now, but if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, the Jets could pull an upset here.
I wouldn't be surprised if you're right, but the Jets haven't proved anything to me yet.
I'm taking Niners by a touchdown, just so I can be wrong next week, and I'll be happy about being wrong.
Okay,
but I mean the stats on them are probably it's probably like Niners like 2-1 right now.
And we have 4 3:00 games, which the league is counting on for 4:00 to you, but the league is counting on for high ratings as well. One of those is Raiders at Chargers. Another one is Broncos at Seahawks. Then we got the boys at the Browns and the Commanders at the Buccaneers. A lot of the league experts are expecting a lot from the Commanders this year. I'm not sure I agree with them.
I would very much like to see the Commanders do some commanding. I'd like to see, I don't know what I think they're like a 8-9 team, to be honest, on paper.
And they're going to play our boy Baker.
And yeah, like I can't go against the Bucs.
I can't go against Baker because we got to bring him to DQ for last year for that playoff run.
Like Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield are like, I don't know, that's like my favorite like quarterback wide receiver duo in the league right now.
I think you're going to have a new one in Chicago after this year.
Oh yeah, like Chicago is looking pretty good, but and then like the other game that I'm watching, in the late window is Cowboys at Browns. I'm not expecting much of that one, to be honest, because I believe Deshaun is going to be throwing ball.
There was one game last year that Deshaun looked like the Deshaun of old. If we get anything close to that Pro Bowl run he had that one year, the Browns are going to be formidable.
Well, here's the thing about the NFL. We have these talks. You and I have had these talks for like 10 years now where we're just like, oh, did you see this guy? Did you see that guy? And there's a lot of guys that are just a flash in a pan. They have like one amazing year and you're just like, oh, he's going to be someone to look out for. And then he gets like a silly injury that you think doesn't sound like much.
He gets a hangnail, but he's never the same. Yeah.
He's never the same again. Yeah.
And a lot of people are expecting C.J. Stroud to take a step this year. I don't know.
Texans games are something I'm going to be watching very closely.
Yeah.
Can CJ reignite that fire that he had last year?
And there's one other team that we haven't talked about that I think a lot of people are going to be watching this year. That's San Diego.
The Chargers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they struggle. My prediction is they struggle early.
But
then
with Harbaugh in their
season, they come on hard.
Yeah, with Harbaugh as the head coach, they're not going to struggle very long. He won't let it happen. He'll. No,
it's just a growing pains thing. Like
right,
I find the first 4 weeks of football is very.
Nope, you're 100% correct.
Trying to figure shit out for 4 weeks.
That's what the preseason used to be. The first 4 weeks of the regular season is what the preseason used to be.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure shit out at this point for 4 weeks because the season's longer now. It's not 15 games, it's not 16 games, it's 17 games.
Well, and with them not playing as hard in the preseason and during training camp, the first 4 weeks are when we see a lot of weird injuries from people who just, the training staff didn't prepare them properly for the season, or they didn't prepare themselves, or they didn't put the effort in. And this is what the payout is the first 4 weeks of the season.
So I'm not going to go into any much more tonight because, we are just kind of like just prefacing what could and we expect to happen based on the reports that we had over the offseason and what we expect from the teams after we've seen them build for a couple of years. Where are we at? Where are we going to be? Week 1 of football usually is kind of like a surprise. We don't know. Like there's some standout people, there's some standout players, some standout coaching, some standout calls. The referees can get involved, and we might be talking about referees next week. Like, can you believe we saw that? But
one of the speaking about the referees, one of the new rules this year is the first down marker is not going to be drug out on the chains anymore. That's going to be done in the booth from New York through graphics.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
So that'll be an interesting to watch. I can hear it now. He's 3,000 miles away. How can you tell me he didn't get the first down?
They've got so many camera angles, though. Like
they do. It's insane. All right, is that it, there, buddy?
Yeah, I think we come back next week and we either just give each other a high five on how right we are, or we just hang our heads in shame about how wrong we are. Either way, I hope our audience is having fun and follow along for the NFL season. We look forward to week 1, week 2, all the way to the next 22 weeks, I guess, eh?
Yeah, well, last year we started at the playoffs. This year's going to be a whole season.
Yeah, we're going to do the full thing and the playoffs. So we got like 22 weeks of football. Let's go.
So don't just listen to us. Tell your friends. Where can they find us, Adam?
Oh, yeah, we got those things, the little shout-out things. So I'm on X. Nobody messages me on it, which is kind of neat because it makes my notification window very small. But you can get me at Adam Off the Couch. You can also find us on Facebook, Straight Off the Couch, and we have a link tree. So if you want to find all our links to different podcast platforms or wherever we are, we have linktr.ee/Straight Off the Couch.
And you can find me on X. I keep wanting to call it Twitter, dude, but it's
me too.
It's at TREMUP. Go Go and like us on Facebook. Go and listen to us on whatever your favorite platform is, whether it's Spotify or YouTube or whatever. Make sure you tune in. For my broadcast partner, Adam Whitehall, be safe. God bless. We'll talk to you next week.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go.